Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The real market cap for XRP is about double what is actually reported by the likes of Live Coin Watch and CoinMarketCap. Now, websites like these, they're running their own businesses. They can do whatever the hell they want. They can calculate things however they want. And broadly speaking, participants within the space, they've just been copying one another. So it was initially CoinMarketCap back in the day that set up the standards for how market cap would be calculated within the crypto space. And then as competing outlets came, pushing up like Live Coin Watch, competing against CoinMarketCap, they just followed suit. But the truth of the matter is that, you see, the way that our asset class now calculates market cap, rather than taking the total supply of the asset, which is how you calculate market cap in traditional finance, like in stocks, instead, what they do is they take circulating supply and multiply the circulating supply times whatever the market price is, rather than the total supply times the market price. And so if there's a bunch of cryptocurrency that's in existence but hasn't been issued, meaning it's not circulating yet, then you end up with a much smaller market cap. But the problem here is that the assertion is being made that Ripple is the issuer. Now, of course, we know this literally cannot be the case because XRP was created before Ripple, the company, even existed. Even so, since Ripple has such a large position, it was decided by the likes of CoinMarketCap back in the day, and everybody's followed suit since, that we're just going to count Ripple as being the issuer, even though it existed before Ripple, the company, existed. That's the decision that's actually being made here. And so I want to share with you a part of a thread on this topic. And David Schwartz, who of course is Ripple CTO and co-creator of the XRP literature, he jumped in and shared some thoughts on this, as did a former Ripple employee. And so I want to kind of run through that with you. And also, I've got a thread that just stood out to me, and I'll share that towards the later part of the video. But it's from one of the original Bitcoin developers. He says that he's the 10th Bitcoin developer ever. And he's been taken to task by his community for effectively saying that there are cryptocurrencies that aren't Bitcoin that are worth a damn. And so you got the toxic Bitcoin maxi trolls out there just eating their own. He's one of the guys that's been coding the longest and contributed more than pretty much anybody from what I've been able to gather. And I wasn't familiar with him prior to coming across this thread, but he got a lot of attention with this thread. You're calling out toxic Bitcoin maximalism, and I found it so interesting, and I thought that I'd share it with you. I think you'll like that too. But before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So where did this all stem from? Well, there is an XRP community member named XRP Man who wrote the following, and he ended up tagging David Schwartz along with some others in the community. And so XRP Man wrote, "Why is the escrowed XRP not included in the circulating supply? If Ripple and XRP are truly two entities, couldn't anyone escrow their XRP to get it removed from circulation?" Yeah, so here's something that never ended up getting pointed out that I want to point out right here, because I've read through the thread. In terms of what's in circulating supply, the way that this is supposed to work in our industry is if you're the creator of a particular cryptocurrency, if you've not moved that cryptocurrency to another party that's not you, then it's not in circulation. Once that cryptocurrency, if you're the issuer, you're the creator, once you move that to another party, it's now in circulation. And so whether or not something ends up being put into escrow has no bearing whatsoever on whether or not a cryptocurrency is in circulation, whether or not a cryptocurrency is on a cryptocurrency exchange and for sale at that moment has nothing to do with whether or not it's in circulation. The only determining factor here is, has that cryptocurrency left the grubby little bits of the creator, the issuer? Has it left? If the answer is yes, it's in circulation always and forever, even if it's in escrow. That's just how it's calculated in the space. And so so think back to 2017, before Ripple's XRP was in escrow. And I don't know exactly what Ripple's holdings are right now, but just for the sake of conversation, let's just say that they hold somewhere in the neighborhood of roughly half the supply of XRP now. And it was about that, whatever, even back in 2017. They hold less now. Obviously, they've sold some. But let's just say it's half, just for ease of conversation and because it doesn't functionally matter. Well, in 2017, before Ripple put their XRP in escrow, Ripple's holdings were still not considered to be part of circulating supply. It's not the case that Ripple's holdings were in circulating supply and then they put it in escrow and then it was no longer in circulating supply. That is not the case. And so, even if you as an XRP holder put your XRP in escrow, it doesn't mean that comes out of the circulating supply. And I don't know if there's a great way to even try and tabulate that. I'm not so sure. Maybe there's some sort of neat tech way to even do something like that, but that's not what's being done. And Ripple's just functionally being treated than other top cryptos. And it's unfortunate because as a result of what's being considered to be in circulating supply, it makes people believe that XRP's market cap is about half of what it really is. And so you can think back to like 2018 when XRP for brief moments overtook Ethereum in market cap. But most of the time, Ethereum was still number 2 in market cap. But there were times XRP was literally number 2 in market cap. In reality, at that time, XRP was safely number 2 in market cap. It's just that, since you're not counting Ripple's holdings of XRP as being in circulating supply, it looks like XRP's market cap is a lot less than it actually is. So, which is very interesting. So, like, it's literally right now somewhere in the neighborhood of double of what it actually is. So, right now, the market cap for XRP is about 17.5 billion. It's more like 35 billion, somewhere closer to that, which means it should be at least one rank higher in terms of market cap. But you can imagine once XRP gets back up to $4, that's going to be much more consequential. So, because really, the truth is XRP can overtake ETH in terms of market cap with ease if this was actually being reported correctly, and that's why stuff like this actually matters. So, so then somebody named Scams Are Bad responded to XRP Man, because again, remember, he's just saying, couldn't anyone just escrow their XRP to get it removed from circulation? Again, I already answered. The actual answer is no. Putting a cryptocurrency in escrow doesn't take it out of circulating supply. It's never been calculated that way, period. And then Scams Are Bad responded, though, by writing, because it is provably not tradable. So he's making an incorrect argument. Just because it's locked up in escrow and it therefore can't be traded has nothing to do with whether or not it is in circulating supply. Whether I have and this is true for yours too, whether your XRP is on an exchange, off an exchange, in escrow, not in escrow, those are not factors. That's not how Live Coin Watch and CoinMarketCap are calculating this stuff. They're treating most cryptocurrencies the same, just not XRP. In terms of circulating supply, it really doesn't count until the issuer has given up the token, but they're treating the Ripple differently. They just are. And then somebody named Harry jumped in and responded to that and wrote, "What makes you say it's not tradable? I hold some XRP that I'll never sell. Should we take that out of the supply since it's not tradable either?" And again, the answer is no. That is not how it works. It's fine that they brought up the point, but that's not how it works. Just because it's not for sale on exchange doesn't mean it's not in circulation. It just means the issuer no longer holds it. That's it. Scams Are Bad responded and wrote the following: "No, because it's not provably tradable. You could have an emergency tomorrow and change your mind and trade your XRP. Ripple cannot trade their XRP in escrow no matter that happens." He means no matter what happens. Okay, so that part's true. Ripple, they can't physically move the XRP that's in escrow. Fair enough point. But that's not the standard used to determine whether or not something is in circulating supply. Let me repeat it one more time in case anybody missed it. In order for something to be in circulation, it just means that the issuer no longer has it. That's it. That's how it's how everything's been treated in the space. And that's a standard. There's no formal organization that gets to decree such a thing. It just occurred organically. CoinMarketCap started doing that, and then all these other coin tracking websites like Live Coin Watch, they just copied the methods that CoinMarketCap was using, and it became the standard in that way. There's no governing body that decided this. That's just how things occur organically. So, but then Tiffany Hayden jumped in, and she's not so much a fan of XRP anymore. She kind of, this is not the purpose of the video, so I'm not going to get into it. She kind of had a falling out and wasn't happy with a lot of the members. But I will tell you, and I've mentioned this a few times before, when I jumped into crypto in late 2017 and also in early 2018, I tell you, I learned a lot from her. She is an absolute wealth of knowledge. And she jumped in and shared her perspective on this. And she said, they could sell it off ledger if they wanted to. There is nothing about it being an escrow that stops this, although they may have committed to never doing this. I don't know. XRP can be rekeyed. Buying it off ledger is the only way I know of to keep it private. So just to be clear, what she's saying here is that even though Ripple's XRP is an escrow and it cannot be moved, Ripple could still hand over the keys. They could still sell it while it's in escrow, right? And so this whole idea of XRP not being able to get dumped on the market, while it's technically true, it can still change ownership. But the primary purpose for why Ripple stated anyway that they were putting their XRP in escrow, it was to provide market certainty. You do still get that, even though it can change ownership behind the scenes. That's not going to show up on exchanges. It's not going to show up as volume. And so in that way, it still, quote unquote, protects the market. But she is correct. The ownership of that escrowed XRP absolutely can change. It can be sold. And so you can think about this. So are you guys familiar with over-the-counter transactions? If you're a large entity and you want to purchase a whole lot of a crypto, just say it's Bitcoin, just for the sake of this conversation, you could go to Coinbase, for example, and buy using a method that's known as OTC, or over-the-counter. And basically what you'd be doing, this is just one way it could work anyway, you'd buy a boatload of Bitcoin that Coinbase itself holds, and then in selling that volume isn't going to show up. So like, if you can look at what's being traded back and forth among participants on really any exchange, right? And that shows up as volume, and people can see the sell orders, the buy orders, all of that stuff. Well, these over-the-counter transactions, since they're so massive and we don't want to rock the boat and move markets in massive ways, if you just buy over-the-counter from an organization, I mean, you can still transfer on the blockchain and ownership changes, but it's not going to show up to the everyday person that's speculating, the everyday little shrimps out there who are buying and selling on cryptocurrency exchanges. You don't see it. And so there are reasons and consequences as a result when people do buy over-the-counter. And it makes sense for why they're doing it, right? So it's similar to that. So if you wanted to sell, Ripple wanted to sell their escrow, I don't see a reason they couldn't technically. I don't know that they have. I doubt they do it. But it's kind of conceptually in some ways similar to just purchasing over the counter. Now, Scams Are Bad jumped back in and said, yes, that is true, but the new buyer is still bound by the escrow and cannot move the XRP until the unlock date. And so that certainly is true. So Tiffany Hayden then responded and wrote, right. That's why I agree with David that it's not the same as Bitcoin being used for Lightning. And then Matt Hamilton, former Ripple employee, responded to that and wrote, it is exactly the same. The new buyer of Bitcoin over Lightning can't move the original Bitcoin until the escrow is closed, i.e. the channel. All they can do is pass around an IOU for it. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. So David Schwartz then jumped in, and he seems to think, from, if I'm interpreting this correctly, he seems to think that, selling, even if you're selling Ripple selling their XRP, it's quite similar, if not equivalent. He didn't literally say it's equivalent, so maybe he doesn't think that. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's in some ways quite similar to actual XRP moving around. So here's what he actually wrote. It's what's on your screen right now. He said, but this IOU does in fact circulate as payment for Bitcoin obligations treated as interchangeable by the market. Merchants allow me to pay either way. It really does and can circulate. I think that's a relevant difference. Yeah, and so again, apply that concept to XRP. Even if you're trading an IOU for ownership of what's in Ripple's escrow, so like even if they gave up ownership and it traded, in that sense, it's an IOU representing XRP. Again, it's the same with over-the-counter transactions. Those transactions, even though markets can participate in trading this IOU, it doesn't hit the same way as people speculating with actual XRP. And so that's where a key difference is on that. And so Matt Hamilton simply responded, yes, that is a very good point. So there's a lot of things to consider when looking at all of this stuff, but I'll just say this is my personal stance, because this is just what's happened. So just like I don't like that CoinMarketCap changed the way that market cap is calculated. They shredded the way that it's done in the stock market, which again, in the stock market, it's just you take the current market price times the total supply. They didn't want to do that. CoinMarketCap, for whatever reason, they came up with their rationale. They said, no, we don't want to multiply times total supply. We want to multiply times circulating supply. And that's resulted in XRP looking like it's worth a lot less in terms of market cap than it actually is. It's worth a lot more. Now, even at this point, since the price of XRP is artificially suppressed thanks to the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, still XRP is way behind ETH. But I'm just saying, once markets heat back up, I mean, and it'll be amazing. Like, it's certainly possible that XRP could end up back in number 2, even with this stupid calculation of circulating supply rather than total supply. But it'll be that much more impressive if XRP ends up in number 2 in the future ever again here. It really is something here. But that's why even if you're calculating times circulating supply, if you're not using a real circulating supply number and they're not here, then what the hell does it matter? This is all bogus nonsense anyway. Ripple has a much larger market cap than what is being reported. That's the point that I'm making here. I want to kind of share with you my critical thought process and coming to the conclusions that I've come to this point. And if you guys have different takes, I think it's a fun topic of conversation, which is why I thought I'd make a video about this. I don't talk about this very often. But if any of you agree, disagree, whatever, just let me know what you think in the comment section below. Especially if you disagree. I'm certainly willing to be persuaded, but I've been thinking about this for almost half a decade now, and this is what makes sense to me to this point. Now on to the next topic. There's an individual named Matt Corallo who admittedly I was not familiar with, but apparently he's the 10th Bitcoin Core developer ever, right? And somebody shared this comment about Matt Corallo. Wrote, this guy named Universe on Twitter wrote, Matt dedicated more time than anyone to working on Bitcoin. Has been contributing code for over a decade and still is. But today he dared to suggest that some crypto projects aren't scams. So the Maxi cult decided to execute him. And they shared this screen grab from part of the Maxi crew from somebody named Samson Mao, who wrote, reminder, Matt Corallo introduced an inflation bug into the Bitcoin codebase that could have killed Bitcoin. So there you go. You say one thing positive about a cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin, you're now the enemy of those who were allegedly your friends and part of your community. I hate maximalism. It's absolutely toxic, and I'm always going to push back against it, whether it's maximism within the Bitcoin community or pick your community, it doesn't matter. It's just most prominent within the Bitcoin community, in my humble opinion. And so Matt Corallo opened up a little bit about this and stated the following. He's still a huge Bitcoin fan, that's fine. But he said, Bitcoin maxis are a dying breed. While there was a time where everything except Bitcoin was basically a scam, that hasn't been true for a long time. And the smart money has moved on to figuring out which projects are going somewhere and which are straight pump and dumps. This is particularly damning to Bitcoin. Instead of its most vocal proponents explaining why Bitcoin is great and unique, its most vocal proponents spend all their time just attacking other projects. Sure, some of them are scams and may deserve it, but it doesn't help Bitcoin. The narrative wars are coming, arguably are already here. With ETH finally moving to proof of stake, people who've only heard about how proof of stake won't work from Bitcoiners will have even less reason to care about what Bitcoiners have to say. And because of the us versus them culture that has developed in cryptocurrency, many ETH folks, like Ripple before them, will move on to lobbying regulators to make it harder and harder to access Bitcoin because proof of work boils the ocean. Which is why I'll just pause to note, I don't like it. Look, it's okay to critique technology in general, whether you want to critique the technology of XRP and the XRP ledger or Bitcoin or ETH, pick your coin, that's all well and good. But when people cease to operate in good faith and they just try and tear down other projects and stuff like that, and they have this toxic behavior, that's when you cross the line right here. And you can find that everywhere, but damn, it's strong within the Bitcoin community. And so his perspective is that it's, Bitcoin maxis, they're a dying breed. I sure as hell hope so. In terms of total percentage of people within the Bitcoin community, they're increasingly becoming smaller in terms of percent because there's so many new people coming on board and they're all magically going to have that mindset. I mean, a lot of this mindset, you can imagine the types that were here. So there's not just the anarchist types, the strong libertarian bend, And that's not, I'm not saying that's bad even. I'm just talking about like the origins of Bitcoin. Like who are the types of people? And then everything that wasn't Bitcoin was bad. And there were even more scams back in the day in terms of total percentage of total projects in existence, even though in quantity there's more today, I think. But damn. And so then Matt says, focus on why Bitcoin is unique. Talk about the difference of approach and conservatism, and a focus on why Bitcoin is the only real candidate as a truly neutral currency for the internet. Point out how funding models change neutrality, but don't call that a scam, because it's not. Exactly. I'm glad that he's calling out these disingenuous arguments, and just calling everything a scam is a bogus way to approach this. It's not intellectually honest. So I appreciate what he's saying there, even though I don't care. Even if he doesn't like XRP, I don't care. He's still right about this. This is reasonable. That's fine. I don't need people to like the same cryptocurrencies as I do for me to like and respect them. That's a childish approach to life. That's stupid. I'm not going to engage like that. And then Matt writes, because some people unnecessarily feel called out. No, just thinking Bitcoin is cool and other things are less interesting isn't the problem. It's thinking everything else is a scam just because it's different rather than has a different goal. Exactly. A golf clap for Matt Corralo right there. Interesting stuff. But I mean, I think most people feel that way because most people are a bit more level-headed. But man, these people, just like the bane of my existence. Oh. I mean, the SEC's worse, I guess, but still, they're up there. They're in the same realm, folks. They're in the same realm. All right, I'll wrap up here, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm very curious to see what people have to say about this, whether you agree or disagree. I love thoughtful discourse, so if you disagree, that's fine. You can just articulate the reasons why. I don't get offended by that. I think it's fun to have debates and thoughtful discourse back and forth. So just articulate your reasons, and I'd love to hear from you. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.